Welcome back to my channel, or if you're watching for the first time, hi! And honestly, what a title. That's right, we're doing a deep dive into my crazy fiction-obsessed brain. Let me let you in on a little bit of an open secret about me. I've got profound ADHD, as well as a degree of autism. But I was only officially diagnosed with it recently, which meant that growing up, I had pretty intense undiagnosed autism. And now that I've been diagnosed with it, it makes the weirdness I subjected others to make so much more sense. But it was partly because of that weirdness that I grew up very, very lonely. Now, the way it worked back in my hometown was that you made your friends in elementary school, and then you stuck with them all the way through till high school. Only, all the friends I made would move, and move far away. So I was already running the friendship race at a disadvantage. But then, right around when the concept of popularity was being introduced to us, the other kids began to realize that I wasn't weird because I was a kid. No, I was just fundamentally weird. I ate so many leaves off my neighborhood hedges, it was crazy. So, yes, I was, without a doubt, the weird neighbor kid who eats grass and cries at every little thing. The one your mom would force you to hang out with because all the adults feel bad for them. I swear, the only reason people tolerated me in elementary and middle school was because they really liked my mom. And I don't blame them, my mom rocks. So it goes without saying that I was the main target of everyone's bullying. While yes, I was uncannily short compared to the other kids, the biggest thing was that I was so completely other in my behavior, so far from what was considered normal, that it seemed only natural that I'd be the outcast. It also didn't help that I cried. A lot. I gave them the exact reaction that they wanted. I couldn't help it. I'd cry, I'd scream, I'd get angry, because I was a kid, and kids can lash out when they're hurt. During middle school, I did have a best friend, but looking back, she was wildly abusive, physically and emotionally. I'm not going to go into details, but basically she'd beat me up in full view of the teachers, and even the school staff would dismiss it, believing me to be bulletproof, all because I never told her to stop. But the real reason why I never told her to stop was because I was so desperate to have any friends that I clung on to her for dear life. And if that meant her beating me up every day for her other friends' amusements, I was happy to smile through it. So now that we have all that background out of the way, let's talk about high school. After my middle school friends all moved away, I was basically left alone through high school. All the kids who knew me knew my reputation as being the weird kid, and no one wanted to hang out with me anymore. There were no more parents who forced their kids to hang out with me, and they were all content in their own friend groups anyway. For a brief while, I spent time with two girls I had known from drama club until I got too weird even for them and they decided to break up with me. But don't get me wrong, I always had acquaintances. I always had someone I could at least talk to, but no one I could really call a friend. No one who wouldn't run away from me as soon as things got rough. So, with all that in mind, it's no wonder I dove so deeply into fictional worlds. My first love was the Kingdom Hearts series. Do not get me started on how much I loved the character of Riku. But then, one day, listening to Broadway radio in my dad's car, I heard the song Carrie from the 2012 off-Broadway production of Carrie the Musical. I was familiar with the story of Stephen King's Carrie, and I had never paid it any attention. But that song really struck a chord with me. Because along with being lonely and weird, along with being the school outcast that nobody wanted to be friends with, I could sense this feeling, at least in the musical's portrayal, that this girl, about my age, was just like me. She was lonely and weird, and nobody liked her unless it was out of pity. It made her angry and hopelessly frustrated, but no matter what, there was still this glimmer of hope that maybe someday someone will know her name. Maybe somebody would care about her if she could just be normal. Because when I'd mask my autism, I'd make friends. I'd build up a solid friendship over time. I'd grow to think, maybe this person won't hate the real me. Only for all of those friendships to crumble to ashes. Every single friendship I had in high school exploded so hard I couldn't manage to face them again. It just felt so embarrassing, because somehow it was always my fault, and my fault exclusively. Though I'm not denying, I was often at fault too. I'd somehow always end up alone and ostracized by the people I wanted to impress. That was my reality for 4 years. To spend every day scrubbing the same red circle around yourself so that people might love you, only for one thing to erase all of your progress over and over and over. Things culminated when I met my girlfriend in my final year of high school. I was so excited that someone could ever love me in that capacity that I masked myself so hard it burned me out for fear of losing her. And then the breakup. The breakup wasn't nearly as traumatic as having pig's blood poured on you at prom, but that was the pinnacle of the cruelty I faced in those years. I didn't just break, I shattered. And if I'm being honest, looking back, maybe it wasn't so bad compared to others' first breakups. But it was the worst time I had going through high school. Being as emotional and mentally ill as I was, there were times I thought this had to be my reality. This absolute misery of being alone because you showed your true self and they hated it. But Carrie got me through it. I was in the library at least once a week, either to renew or to check out Carrie by Stephen King. I listened to the musical, both versions. I watched every adaptation and that weird sequel. I could see myself in Carrie. Weird and different and alone. So I liked to imagine a world where neither of us had to be alone. Through different isekai scenarios I made up, I would imagine a different story. One where we could at least have one friend to have our backs. To this day, I am 100% sure that if Carrie White was a real person, I'd want to be her friend. And that stupid little fantasy of mine pulled me through to the other side. The realization of the fact that there are people that can feel this way too. Even if Carrie White wasn't real, I was, and surely there could be others who relate too. That's always been the way I've seen and experienced Carrie as a story. Through every telling, from the musical to the book to all 3 adaptations, I've never seen Carrie as a monster to be feared. While she, of course, is a horror movie icon who stands up with the best of them, she's not Freddy or Jason. She is, as the musical says, just a kid trying her best. And it's only through the unrelentless and unbelievably cruel actions of those around her that she finally shatters and becomes the monster. That's where the horror comes from for me. That such a monster can be created out of something that, despite everything, did her best to avoid that outcome. Now, I wasn't about to develop telekinesis and kill everybody, but the story of Carrie White made me feel seen. That these feelings of being ostracized and bullied for being so far from normal were normal, that I wasn't as alone as I felt all the time. But, unlike Carrie, I did have a support system. My mom, dad, stepdad, my whole family, really, they banded around me and did everything in their power to help me through the darkest times in my life. And when I moved to Windsor, I made new friends over the internet. Friends who do love me. I feel like finally I've done it. Even if our friendships don't last forever, they're good enough to keep me afloat. Because that's all any of us can do, really. Stay afloat. The darkness never really goes away, but it's by finding the light that we can learn to coexist with it. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but I understand it. And of course I do, because I'm weird. Well, that's all I came on to say. Sorry it's not very connected to the diamond art I did in this video, but I actually planned for a different script, and turns out it was only 3 minutes long, so I had to change plans. I had the script, and I wanted to put out something new, plus I had left this diamond art piece unfinished for a while. My mom actually had to help me with some of it. But anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, maybe subscribe if you like my perspective on things, and be polite to someone today.